Thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video, who offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people on topics including photography, illustration, design and filmmaking. If you haven't watched last week's video, the best time to watch it was last week. The second best time is now. After creating the bunch of different gas stations which don't exist, I thought it was about time to create a new kind of alter ego for myself. Create the artist that's making these more abstract kind of pieces. So I think it's about time I take some more portraits of myself, but using some of these new techniques. So I'm going to be using the same process of a GAN, but this time using it on myself instead of a bunch of gas stations. It's going to be studying hundreds of images of myself and creating infinite versions of myself which are kind of me but also not. I basically just want to make some weird warped versions of my face. So I've got a few different ideas for these experiments to kind of make these interesting portraits of myself. One thing that I want to do is purposefully feed the machine too few images so that it can't study it properly and make really accurate images. I want them to be kind of messy, kind of look like me but not me at the same time. Definitely look like crunchy and abstract. I have a feeling that the transitional frames, the frames between the key morphed things, might actually be the coolest parts, where it's kind of in between two states. So for the source video, I'm going to gather some recent photos of me that I have that I like, and also take some new ones. And for this, I'm just going to be using video. Since the output of what I need to upload to the GAN is fairly low res, it's 1000 pixels by 1000 pixels roughly, I'm going to just do it in video and screenshot the best frames. It doesn't really have to be the highest quality. My plan is to do this with some varied lighting situations, different clothing, and different backdrops, just so that it has a bit of variety, so that when it makes these new ones, the background changes a bit. I don't want it just to be a solid colour, hopefully. So here's my collection. I've got 46 different photos of myself, taken from various videos and photos of myself. They're all pretty similar in the end. There's not actually that much variation. Got a bit of hat in the mix, a bit of blurriness, some black and white, some colour, mostly a neutral backdrop. I didn't actually end up getting that much variance. So here's the best export of just my face. This is 46 images mashed up and creating new versions of me. But I decided I want to take this a step further. You see, what happens when you're training a GAN is that it's comparing two different data sets. For this one, it's comparing my face with a bunch of different faces, a database of thousands of faces. And this way, when they start merging together, the datasets are already kind of similar, so they're going to merge into what you want a lot quicker. Whereas if you compared faces with buildings, they're not very similar. They're not going to combine very easily. But what I wanted to try and do was merge my portfolio of photography with my face. There's some sort of nice artistic sentiment behind that, you know, becoming one with these photos which I've taken at some point. It sounds like a cool idea, and maybe it will make something even more abstract. Who knows? So the first thing I did was build a GAN of every photo I ever took with the Mamiya 7, which is a couple thousand images, and it turned out like this, which I think is pretty cool. And then what I could do is retrain the 46 images which I had of my face against this group of Mamiya photos and create this hybrid. And the tricky thing about this is that there's a point where it becomes not one or the other. There is only a brief window where the two kind of merge, and I was finding it pretty hard to find that moment with this, if I'm honest. It didn't actually end up as cool as I thought. I think the individual parts are stronger than they're combined. But it was a cool experiment to play out with. And I actually think the portraits that came out in the Mamiya 7 one by itself, these weird glob figures, they're pretty cool. This whole thing's interesting. I think for me, the ones I like the most are just of myself though. So what I went ahead and did was stylize all of this, grab some of my favourite frames and also make some loops of the best bits. And I think these came out really cool. I'm really happy with them. I think it's super interesting, looks pretty unique. You don't see everyone with these kind of images of themselves. I really like them. And what I've gone and done is replace the image on my website with a GIF. I've made a loop. I think it looks really cool. And finally, I'd like to thank Skillshare again for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership to a vast variety of online classes across a bunch of different fields. Whether you're interested in learning more about photography or filmmaking, or you want to pick up something completely new, there's so much to explore. My good friend Dan Rubin has a bunch of different classes on photography, and there's also a bunch more whether you want to learn more about lighting or Photoshop, editing. They've got it all covered. Denis Volkonsky also has a class on the A to Z of GANs and neural networks, so if you're interested in learning more about machine learning like this, they got you covered. But what's amazing is this really is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to explore. Everything I've learned how to do, photography, filmmaking, this new machine learning kind of stuff, everything I've learned is from the internet. I haven't learned from studying, I've learned from being proactive, finding videos that teach me how to do these things. And if Skillshare existed when I was first picking up photography and filmmaking, I think I probably would have got a lot better a lot quicker. It's such an amazing resource and it shouldn't be undervalued. There's no ads, they're always making more premium classes, and it's less than $10 a month with the annual subscription. So if you want to check out Skillshare, the first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership, so you can explore your creativity. Thank you for watching. See you next week, probably.